let's cover two things. I'm going to cover two things about the CCAs, and it's so important for you to stay true with me with this, okay? The first thing I want to cover is why force, okay? And the second thing I want to cover is on the change of CCA system. Hello and welcome back to today's lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we will be covering a little bit more on the polytechnic as well as JC posting. Now it's very important to understand this system because many parents still today still don't understand how the point systems are calculated and which courses to go to. So they give wrong advices, and every year we have so many students who are just hating the course they go to. They learn the course and then they don't take up a job in that course. All right. And, I've been helping polytechnics in their posting admission exercises a couple of times. So let me get into how exactly you see the point systems and what it actually interprets to you. All right. So let's get right into it. So first of all, if you can look at the screen, I'm going to show I'm going to draw it out for you, okay? So this is a poly and this is the JC path. Now, the first question that people always ask is JC faster? Okay, so let's talk about the first point. Is it faster? And the answer is no. Let me explain to you why. So in Polytechnic, it's a 3-year course. Let's assume that you go to the university at the end of your Polytechnic, okay? And let's assume that you go to the university after your JC. So the Polytechnic will take 3 years here before you get to the university, and the JC will take 2 years. All right. But here's the thing. Once you get to the university, you study for, let's say over here, you graduate, right? Let G for graduate, okay? So both sides you graduate. The thing is this, it takes about 4 to 5 years to graduate if you go through the JC path. But if you take the poly path, you actually minus off 1 year. So that means you take 3 to 4 years. Now let us assume, let me just change this to red or orangey now. So let's assume we take the maximum number of years. That means a direct honors course. Then you will be, if you take the poly path, you will be studying for 7 years. Right? That's 3 plus 4. And if you go through the JC path, it's 2 plus 5. You take 7 years too. So the first thing to understand is that you actually take the same amount of time whether you go through the polytechnic path or the JC path. However, people who go through the polytechnic tend to do very well in university. And the reason why is because the way in which they study is the same in the university as well as in the polytechnics. In polytechnic, it's practical learning, and in university, it's practical learning. So a lot of things is you do the project and produce the project, okay? So what does practical learning mean? It means that in polytechnic, you are supposed to do the project and hand it up for checking, okay? And you get your scores that way. Most of your homework, most of your projects are all partial theory and partial practical, okay? In fact, maybe 70% practical and 30% theory. And that's the same in the university. You are supposed to produce a project and you're supposed to do something, from scratch, like a real item, and produce it to the lecturer. So the JC path is more to book, okay, which is B, and university is practical. And we all know that when you read something and remember something, it's very different as compared to actually doing it, right? So I give you an example. If you are buying an IKEA cupboard, it's easy to look at the manual and see, okay, you're supposed to put the board up, you're supposed to screw it in this way, that way, use this screw, A screw for this, B screw for that. It's easy to understand it. But the moment you put the manual aside and you just do the project or you just build the cupboard, then you start to realize that you're a bit lost. Like, where does the screw go? How does the screw move in? Which screw am I supposed to use again? And you have to look at the manual again. But when we go to polytechnics and universities, you may not have the chance to relook at the manual. Say, example, if you're supposed to do something on the spot, you're supposed to do a particular calculation on the spot. The manual is not going to give you the answer to do the calculation. They may give you the formula, but you have to put in the values yourself. You have to obtain the values yourself. You have to measure the values yourself. And that's where the practical learning comes in. All right. So when you go through the polytechnic path to university, you actually take the same amount of time as when you go through the JC path. and it also becomes a little easier for you to catch up on because you are already used to it. You have done it before. Okay. So is it faster? Answer is no, it is not faster. Okay, then now let's go on to the second question, which is over here. Let's write it down here. How about the point system? Okay, point system. Should you go to a poly or JC? That's the big question, right? A lot of people don't know whether they should go through the poly path or the JC path. Now, I'm not here to direct you which path to go, but I'm here to explain to you a huge misconception in Singapore that parents, because maybe in the very traditional ages, people are always saying that, oh, low points are good, low points are good. Why? Because JC was like the most important place to be at in the past. Okay, it's like if you're not in JC, you are in the middle range, and then if you're not in the middle range, you're in ITE. That means it's like the nobody wants to be at range. That used to be how Singapore saw the education system, but now it's very different. A lot of people actually want to go to polytechnics because of what I just explained to you. They realize that, wait, if I want to work outside, then I need to have the skills. I cannot be referring to a book, and they realize that there's no relativity or little relativity in JC. So the thinking starts to change. JC becomes a place in which you go to if you still don't know what course of life you want to take. Then you just go in and continue for another 2 more years. And after that, maybe when you're more mature, you start to think differently and you start to say, I want to take a particular course, maybe engineering or nursing. Okay. And polytechnic is really for people who are they know what they want. I want to be a gamer, I want to create a robot, I want to be an engineer. Then they straight away go into the engineering course. Okay, so the point system is very different, and let me show you why it's very different. And after this, you'll be very surprised with how we have all been looking at the point system in the wrong way. So the point system for let's put this way again. Okay, poly and JC. The point system for JC, let's talk about the thing that everybody understands. Okay, is that the lower the points equals better, right? The lower the points, it is better. Why? Because if I get a 5-point JC versus, let's say, a 10-point or a 10-point JC, it means that over here everybody are good at memorizing. They have maybe the attitude of studying. Everybody loves studying. Okay, and maybe they don't go out much because everybody's studying, right? So everybody's at home, they don't go out much. And then maybe the 10-point one, 10-point JC, they get 10 points because maybe they didn't study as much in secondary school, or maybe they may not be as good in their memory. So lesser at memory, maybe their studying method is the same. Okay, and whatever I teach you is actually relevant to your CCA selections, JC selections. Now I want you to think back about all the things that you have learned before about the poly JC admission, as well as your CCA selection. It's all the same thing, how they sort you out, subject-based banding. Like Singapore keeps saying now that we should not categorize the students as express, NA, or NT. But the problem is that they are not categorizing it to put students down. It's something that has to be done because if somebody is very good at hands-on, like the technical students, they're so good at hands-on, and you force them to go and read the book, they cannot understand. So what Singapore does is, why don't we get these students, we put them into the normal technical, and then we teach them more like computer skills. That's why you see CPA in normal tech, okay, and a lot of DNT in normal tech, but you may see less of things like geography or literature, right? Because they don't really love the books, but they love to do things, and therefore they put them into the technical class. Now, the NA students are actually a very brilliant bunch of students. In fact, I have been teaching for so long, and I always tell people that the NA students are NA not because they are stupid. The NA students are always very intelligent. In fact, they are too intelligent. Too intelligent, and I always tell my students, if you want to do well, and this has worked many times, okay, so you can try to observe it yourself. I always tell the NA students, if you want to do well in your subjects, what you have to do is to act stupid. Okay, I know many parents don't love to hear this, like, act stupid. Why are you asking my child to be stupid? But let me explain to you why first, okay? Now, let's take an example. If the school says John brings 5 apples to school and Sally takes 2 away, how many will John have left? So we obviously know that, okay, John has 5, Sally takes 2, so John has 3. That's how the express student thinks. It's very simple. It's like whatever information I'm given, I take it and I apply it. But the NA students are very creative. They're like, oh, John takes 5, Sally takes 2, so how many left? Maybe John ate 1. You know, they will think of what if maybe this, maybe that, maybe. They think too much into the world of realism. And in reality, yes, true, after lunch, we may be hungry, we take an apple, whatsoever, and they think of all these things. Whereas, so I always tell them, no, don't think so much. Just think simple. Whatever they give you, don't think about, oh, maybe he did this, maybe Sally took more, maybe Sally negotiated, you know. Don't think about all these things. Just think simple. Whatever they give you, just use the information and just pretend that nothing else happened in reality. Okay. And then they start to apply that and they realize that, hey, really, I can solve all the questions. Okay. Because they stop thinking too hard. Okay. So lesser of memorizing, and sorry for going a little off topic, but I'm really very passionate about this topic and I love helping students to do well. Again, we have helped many students. After this, I'll share with you where you can actually get more information on how you can accelerate your success. We have helped students to actually study less and score much better by a lot. Okay. So first of all, lesser memory, maybe it's a partial study. They may not love it so much, but they can do it, you know, and they can do it well. And maybe they love hanging out a bit, right? So this is why sometimes you see certain school students, like they're in their uniform and they're studying outside. You know, it's like always the similar school students. You don't see some other school students studying outside. And this is the reason why, okay? Because it's actually the character and the attitude that causes whether somebody does well or not. And also maybe the family teaching. So this differentiates the 5-point and the 10-point students. So if I put these students together, then they will be able to study well together, right? Because maybe the way in which they relax is by listening to music. So all of them listen to music and they all relax together. And then, okay, let's hit the book in this way. Let's study in this way. Maybe they all use place cards to remember. So all of them will study in the same way and they will do similarly well. But what happens if I take a student from the 10-point and throw them over to the 5-point JC? What happens is that these students will start to feel that it's so difficult to understand what's happening because maybe the 5-point people are, you know, they have photographic memory. They just look one time and then they remember. So the teachers will be pressing the slide very fast. Boom, boom, boom. 1 slide, 2 slide, 3 slide. And then these students who are like, I need placement cards. Why are there no placement cards? Why are there no notes? And this is a reality. I've heard of students who actually try to complain because the teachers don't want to give them notes, you know, because they are in a school which need notes. But this teacher came from a very good school which don't really give out notes at all. They just make the students write down. So when she went over to this school started, the students in this class started to complain because they didn't have notes. Okay, so it's the way that they study is different. And therefore, it's very important actually to categorize students in the way in which they study. It helps them a lot. Okay, so now that we have covered the JC and everybody understands why the 5 points may be very important, the lower the number of points means better JC because it categorizes you with, in that sense, better students, but better not in terms of life, okay? Better in terms of studies, okay? And what do we do in JC? We need to memorize information, okay? And we need to study well. So this puts the low aggregate students or the low point students together and they can do very well together. Okay, so let's go over now to the polytechnic and this is going to be very interesting. So is lower better? Now let's ask this question. Is lower equals better? Okay, that's the big question mark. And the answer to that, let me tell you now, no. So everywhere you go, people will tell you lower better, lower better. Actually, it's not. Let me explain to you why. Okay. Now, how the polytechnic works is actually in terms of training you for what? What are they training you for? Training for jobs. Okay. So they're training you to get a job in future, not tomorrow. They're not training you today to get a job tomorrow. In fact, if you think about it, polytechnic, if you start today, say X day, okay, this is X year. If you start this year and then you have 4 years in poly, 3 years in poly, and okay, then you go to the university, and from the university you have another 4 years to graduate. This is total of 7 years. And if you have 2 years NS for the guys, if you have this, it's about 9 years. So the government has to plan not the intake of the polytechnic for tomorrow. I'm not saying I want 10 students today for tomorrow, not that. They are planning to say, I need this number of students, 10 students today for 10 years later. They have to have the foresight to see what happens generally in 10 years' time. Can you see where I'm going now? It's very different as compared to JC, which is just I train you to go up, put you together, and then you go to university. Then after university, then we decide what job you want to go for. Okay. So polytechnic is I'm training you today for what happens in 9 years' time. Okay. So for today, for what happens in 9 years' time. So what happens is this. Now now it starts to get very clear. Okay. In 9 years' time, let's take an example. I need 1,000 engineers. If I need 1,000 engineers, okay, so I need maybe, and we all know the fact that maybe 100 people, 100% of the people take engineering course, they may not want to do engineering job in future, right? So they need to take in, say example, an extra 50%. 1,500 people, they need to take in more because some people will end up saying, I don't want to do engineering. Okay, I want to do something else. So they need to take in more. Now, if I need to take in 1,500 people, do you think, now, this is the magic question, okay? Do you think that I can put a low cutoff point? Do you think I can put, say, 5 points? Or maybe even 6 points? Do you think I can do that? If I put in 5 to 6 points, how many people can go in? Say example, 100 people can go in because of the low point, right? What will happen 9 years from now? I have 1,000, I need 1,000 engineers, but I only have 100 people to fulfill the 1,000 slots. So I'm lacking of 900 people. Make sense? So I cannot do that. So what do I need to do? As the government, I cannot do this. I have to jump the points to, say, 26 points. And by doing that, by having 26 points, I get maybe 1,500 people because more people can go in, right? So when more people come in, and then after the many years, some people don't want to be engineers, I maybe get, at the end of the day, maybe I get around 900 engineers. But that's okay because that's only this year, and next year I get another 1.5 K students, right? So it always adds up to become close to how many engineers I need. Now, this is very important for Singapore's planning because if we don't do this, then there will be too many engineers. Okay, let's take example. Now, let's give another example so it becomes much easier for you to understand. Okay, let's talk about, say, data analysis. Okay, so this I need in 10 years time, I need, say, let's put a ridiculous amount. Okay, let's say we need 10 data analysis people. Okay, I need somebody to analyze data, 10 years, 10 people only. Okay, 10 years from now, I need about 10 people to work. Now, if I'm going to put a point of 26 points, what's going to happen? I'm going to get 1,500 people who is going to join in this course. They're going to take the course. And 10 years from now, 1,000 of them, approximately 1,000 of them, 1,000, wants to be a data analyst. What's going to happen? I'm going to have, in this case, I'm going to have 990 people who are jobless. Can you see what's happening here? So you must understand that in a polytechnic, having a higher cutoff is actually more important because it means that more jobs needed in future. Okay, and that is something that is very important for you to understand. Now, then the big question, how does this relate anything to CCAs? How does this relate anything to, normal academic and express also? Okay, it's all about point systems. Point system. Okay, let's talk about the CCA system for now. Let's take this idea and put it over to the CCA system. Okay, now, how do schools get points? We all know that schools get money funding for their CCAs, right? Some CCAs get more money, some CCAs get less money. So how do they get this point system? Very simple. There are a few things, okay? I cannot share with you every single thing, but let's take example here. Number one, attendance. Okay? If you can get good attendance, then you get good money. Then the second thing is maybe awards. Okay? Good awards, maybe a gold award, you get money. Okay, And this is the same for school camps. That's why I say you have to, once you understand this whole system, you can apply it to school camps and CCAs. Like, why does the school force people to go for a camp? Why do they have forced camp? In the past, it was like allow or disallow. Now it's like everything must allow. I consent. I understand this. They use different words. And the reason why is because when they have a certain, like 70%, 80% of the students who turn up, then the school gets better funding and the school wants more funding. Okay. So how does this point system work for the CCAs? Now, take example now that you understand that whatever they do, it leads back to funding. Even like they say, why do we have poly excursions? And you realize that some schools are very focused on certain polys, right? Maybe they always bring their students to Republic Poly and always promote, they'll say, oh, this is a very good school. This is a very fantastic school. Why particularly this poly? Why not others? You mean the others are bad? Come on, we're in Singapore, everyone is good. It's all leading back to either the point system. That means maybe next time if I want to rent your field, it's easy to rent. I want to rent I want to bring for extra computer courses, it's easy to get them linked to your poly, that kind of thing. So it's a point system, or it leads back to money system. So it always leads to either of this, okay? So now we ask the question on CCAs, okay? Why do schools sometimes force people to take CCAs? Now, this is so important because so many people don't understand this, and every day I see people falling into this trap, okay? Let's cover two things. I'm going to cover two things about the CCAs, and it's so important for you to stay true with me with this, okay? The first thing I'm going to cover is why force, okay? And the second thing I want to cover is on the change of CCA system. And this is the one that many people I see fall into. They believe in the system that later on they will realize that they will regret. Okay, so I'm going to cover these two now. Now, why do they force you to go into a particular CCA? The reason is very simple, because of good attendance, good awards give them points or money, more funds, okay, more money. And the school wants more money. It helps them to run things easily. It helps them to get more cash to do more things, cash flow. Right? We all understand that. Okay, more money, easy to do things. Money buys time. So CCAs, they will force you to go in. So if, let's say now I'm a school, okay, so let's put it in this way to understand better. If I'm a school and I have 3 CCAs, say MPCC or dance and choir, okay. Now everybody, let's put one sport, okay. So let's say soccer. Oh, a lot of people love soccer, okay. So let's say now we have MPCC, dance, choir, and soccer. Okay, let's assume that this school is very good at dance. Always get the money here because all the awards are won by dance, okay? Soccer, not so good. Choir, not so good. MPCC, average. Okay, so let's just put one money sign down there. Okay, and 2 ticks. The rest are maybe 1 tick. Okay, so let's assume this is the current situation. I know after 10 years of my school being open, 5 years, I know that generally this is what's going to happen. So this year again, there's a high chance that I can get more money from MPCC and dance. Okay, now the problem is this. A lot of people will say, students, right? They will say, but I love soccer. I don't care about MPCC. Why I want to care about MPCC and dance? I don't care. I love my interest is soccer. I want to go into soccer. But here's the problem. I want, as the school, that's what the students want, right? But as the school, I want people to join MPCC and dance because that gives me the money. You can join soccer. I can have the whole school join soccer. I will not get any money. So I want everybody to join MPCC and dance. And that's the problem. If I tell the student, no, you must join MPCC or dance. Cannot, right? You cannot force them. You cannot say you must join this. So I have to give you the democracy, right? Democratic country. So I must give you the democracy. And the problem with giving democracy is this. If I give you the democracy, everybody will choose soccer. Nobody will go to MPCC and choir. And dance. And that is a bad thing. So what do I have to do? I have to force them in a democratic way, force them to get into maybe a certain percentage. Maybe like 30% have to join MPCC, 60% dance, and maybe say we're left with how many? 10. Okay, so 5% and 5% soccer and that choir. Okay, I have to split them in such a way. So how do we do it? One of the way is to force. And how to force? They have systems like, okay, you have options. But your first option must be uniform unit. Second option must be art, which is maybe dance or choir. Okay. And then the last option is a sport. Okay. And when they do this, then because you have to put in an option, right? So example now, let's put me as a case now. Again, I say, okay, I really love soccer. I don't like uniform and art. Okay. So I put sport as soccer. And art, I put choir. And here I put MPCC. Because I only can choose MPCC or NCC. You know, there are very limited choices. So now that I place this in, the school has the full capacity to say, look, I need MPCC and choir, right? They will not tell you this. They will not say, hey, I need MPCC, you are going to MPCC. They won't. Look, you have given you the choice. Unfortunately, due to high demand, okay, or whatever reason you can think of, you are given MPCC. Or like, oh, the sorting system says that you have to take MPCC. Why? Because reason, oh, holistic training. We want everybody to have a wide understanding of the topic or to learn something new, to get into something different, to teach you discipline. Okay, so there are ways to say something until it sounds very nice and very good. But the point is, this explains. By the way, let me have a disclaimer. I'm not here to attack the system. I'm here to help you to understand why this actually happens, because everybody's asking, but nobody dares to talk about it. Why? Obvious, right? If you talk about this, then there will be a huge war, you know, and everybody like, oh, how dare you talk about this? It's not true and everything. Of course, they have to defend the system. We all know that. But this is just for understanding, okay? Because you have joined this group and course, so therefore I'm sharing with you what you need to know about how they sort this out, so you can better understand and better choose your CCAs. Okay, so that's why they force. So we have covered the first point here, why they force. Okay, now we talk about changing of CCA system. Oops, sorry, I shouldn't. Okay, just circle that. Okay, changing of CCA system. Now this is one thing that you really have to understand. So now that you are being forced in, let's just use, okay, let's use this. Now that you are being forced in, so some people, of course, appeal, right? And they say, I do not want to be in, I don't want to be in MPCC. I want to be in soccer. Okay, I want to change to soccer. And most of the school systems do this. They say, oh, okay, it's okay, you can change. Okay, so they give you the option, can change. Can change. But what is the condition? You must try, some schools do this, try for 1 year. After that, you can change. But here's a trap. After that, you can change. The trap is this. Points, CCA points. What do you use CCA points for? You want to minus your score for poly or JC. You want to deduct the score for poly or JC. So you need the points, but here is the trap. The trap is that these points can only be from one dominant CCA, which means that if your CCA, if I take 1 year MPCC and 3 years soccer, which is my dominant CCA, it is soccer. So I'm only allowed to use points from soccer. And here's the second trap. You need at least 4 years of points to be able to minus 1 point or minus 2 points, which means that if you opt to change in your second year, it's as good as not having any points. Okay, it's as good as that. And you will find problems in deducting points. And every year I meet students and they're so angry with the system. They're like, I can't even minus the points. With your CCA points, it doesn't mean that 100% you can minus points. Okay, and that's why they're so frustrated, because they work so hard and then they realize I cannot minus the points. Okay, not every course allows you to minus the points. That's the thing. If you're going through JC, yes, you can. But if not, if you're going to a poly course, they may not allow you to minus off the points. So please take note of that. Okay, So this is why this becomes a trap, because then you get stuck. I want to change my CCA. I love soccer so much, but then my point system is being affected. So what happens? Most people dare not change. Most people find it hard to change. And then when you change, it's not as easy as high school, I want to change. It's not. Both sides must agree. The NPCC must agree to release you, and the soccer must agree to accept you. Okay, I want you to put all this thinking in the form of a child. As a sec 1, sec 2 child, they have to think of, oh my gosh, I have to approach this teacher. It's very scary. I have to approach that teacher. Then I have to wait, and then I have to see whether they allow. So many problems. What happens? Most people, they just give up. Okay, so that is the reason. That is the reason why this is actually a huge trap to actually fall into, by believing that, oh, I can just work on 1 year and then I change again in future. Okay. All right. So that explains most of everything. Let me see whether I've missed out anything. The change of CCA system, that's how it works and why that's a trap. So just take note, this is a trap. And I guess I've gotten everything covered. Now, if you have any other questions with regards to the CCA system and your polytechnic posting, the points and which course you should go to, let me know and I'll see how much I can help you with. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, stay cool, stay awesome, and be your best always. Oh yeah, wait. There's one thing that I said I want. Oh yes, there's one thing that I said I wanted to share with you. Where can you get more information if you need any information to accelerate your success in your studies? Now, what you have to do is just type A-Star Vlogs in the YouTube channel and go to the playlist. Okay, we have got really good playlists here. We've been helping students for so many years, and just go over to this playlist here, the one that I'm highlighting now. It's the music compilations to accelerate your success. What you have in this music compilation is a song. Oh, actually, I've opened it already just to show you. So this is 1 hour and 30 minutes, which is actually 90 minutes. Now, if you actually go online and you search this, okay, 90-20 principle. Yeah, it's actually used by millionaires as well as very successful families. It's a 90-20 rule, which means that you focus your time, 90 minutes of your time on a specific task. So your homework or whatever you're doing, your project, your, work, as in if you're working adult work, okay? And then you take a 20 minutes break. And this helps your brain to actually absorb very quickly. So this 90 minutes music plays, you study through this music. And once you reach to the end, you know it's time to stop. Okay, the last song is All Lang Syne. If you know that song, it's the song which says goodbye, So it tells you, hey, look, it's time for you to stop. It's time for you to take a break, go and rest. Now, the cool thing is this. If you go over to our videos, you will realize that most, if not all, of our videos are either 10 minutes long or 20 minutes long. And many people don't realize this. The reason why they are 10 or 20 minutes long is because we make these videos, for all the students to be able to rest. They are watching a video 20 minutes long. They know it's time to rest. They take a water break or anything. They're relaxed and they can walk around, stand up, and you just need 5 minutes to refresh everything. But the extra 15 minutes is really to make sure that, because everybody has different refresh rates, okay? So you just rest, relax your mind, think of something else, and then you go back again to study. That's the 90-20 rule. Okay, so that's the 90 minutes music that can help you. The other thing that you can look out for if you go over to the playlist is this playlist here that says Millionaire Study Mindset. Okay, in this Millionaire Study Mindset, you can see at the right side here, PSLE results, get rid of PSLE stress, ace your PSLE in half the time, how I studied less and get better results. Now, if you're not taking a PSLE, maybe you're in the JC, maybe you're in secondary school, you can still use this. It doesn't matter at all. It's the same thing. Okay, like setting your time goals, setting your friend goals, or whatever you need, any goals that you have at all that you need to set. These are all things that can help you. Okay, so you don't really have to worry much about not getting it. Like I'm out of PSLE and I cannot apply this. You don't have to worry much about that. It still is very, very relevant. Okay, so I hope these things has been helpful to you, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay cool, stay awesome, and be your best always. Bye.